Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in this episode of The Real, taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. We back, Mike. We back for another live tonight. Welcome into The Real, little Monday night, late night edition. Welcome into The Real. Mike, what's happening?
Oh, it is a Monday evening. Not too much. How are you this evening?
Good. A little tired, but I wanted to come on and talk about this tonight, so had to get up here. Shout out to man Wiley Brown in the chat. Shout out Wiley. Said, "What's up? I am here. Good to see you, Wiley, again." Welcome on in here, everybody. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. Like I said, let's get a little like rally going on the way in here. But yeah, interesting topic tonight, Mike. Let's get right into it. Some news came out today, Mike, about some of maybe the Browns' plans here in the near future. Tony Rizzo's reported today on his show, the really big show, obviously on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Everybody knows that show. Been around for a long time. Shout out to those guys. He was on with Tony Grossi as well, and he said, and I have the quote here, "The thirst that Jimmy Haslam has for Arch Manning is unmatched." And so a lot of people started speculating today that really could Jimmy Haslam use those 2 first-round picks next year to go out and get Arch Manning no matter what. That maybe Arch is really his guy, and that the reason for the quarterbacks this year maybe they drafted was just to maybe take a swing on some guys, see if one of them hits. If not, if one of them hits, great. If not, I think their eyes are set on Arch Manning. Obviously, Arch Manning's got to play really a full season of college football still. But when the time he has been out there, he has shown a lot of promise. I think a lot of people, because of the last name, his skill set he's shown at times, he does have a lot of promising traits and tools. And obviously, I'm sure he's going to be well coached, prepared. So, not only because of his last name, who coached him growing up, but I think Steve Sarkisian's a great offensive mind and coach. I think he'll have a good year here in Texas. He's not going to beat my Buckeyes week 1, but I think he'll have a good year this year at Texas. And I think the stage has been set for him to really shine this year. But he's still got to play. But assuming all goes well, he'll come out in the draft next year. And the Browns have 2 first-round picks. And a lot of people think the Browns are going to be that good, Mike, next year. So we gave our predictions last night. We both had him not making the playoffs. So let's get in here. Let's take a listen here to what Grossi had to say today in his report, and we'll react to it. Give me 1 second. There we go. And so again, here's Tony Grossi via 850 ESPN Cleveland, YouTube page, fair use, and yeah, here's what Grossi had to say. Let me find it on my end. Give me 1 second. I can't find the video, Mike, on my end. Oh, here we go, right here. All right, there we go. Sorry about that.
I know he would not admit it, and I know it's nothing that they want to talk about. But I'm telling you, the thirst that Jimmy Haslam has for Arch Manning is unmatched. Unmatched. You know the connection. That Haslam's donated a ton of money to Tennessee. They have a relationship with Manning family. I don't think it's a coincidence they acquired a second first-round pick. I don't know whether this kid's coming out or not. It was described to me by a billionaire that said, in a perfect world, that guy would be in Cleveland next year.
Yeah.
And they would do anything to get him.
Doesn't that excite you? It does me.
And so that's what he had to say there. Sorry about it. It took me a while to get. I have too many tabs open, Mike. But so that's what Tony Grossi had to say, Mike. And he heard from another billionaire who I'm assuming and probably is good friends with or knows Jimmy Haslam very well, that he will do anything to get Arch Manning, assuming it all goes well, that he plays well this year like everybody expects, and he'll play well enough. He'll basically be a one and done in college in a way where he plays one full season and then takes off for the NFL. He obviously mentioned there are connections with with the Manning family through Tennessee. That's not a surprise. I'm gonna get into more of that here in a minute. That goes back a long way. But your initial reaction, Mike, to this report today from Tony Grossi, and what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I kind of hope it's not true. I don't hate Arch Manning. I just don't know. Nobody knows if he's good yet. Like, he hasn't played a full season in college. Like, yeah, he was great in high school, and you hope everything goes well. But I'm not there yet with Arch Manning. A lot of other local pundits and guys that follow prospecting and all that good stuff, they're not there with him either. And I'm here if either of our starting quarterbacks either of our rookie quarterbacks rather that we drafted in this past year's draft aren't the guy. There is a great bunch of quarterbacks that you could look at. Arch Manning's not even in that list for me yet, just because I don't know anything. Like, I got Lenore Sellers, I got Cade Klubnik, I got even a Garrett Nussmeier has like potential that he can grow on from starting last year. DJ Lagway. I mean, there's so many dudes coming out next year. There's a strong chance. I mean, I get the connections that Haslam has at Tennessee. If anything, Joseph, it makes me a little worried. You know what I mean? Will the name win over the play? If you know what I'm saying. Like, what if Arch Manning starts the whole season? He's okay. He's all right. But the name is what Haslam wants, and he gets like meddlesome again. That's what worries me, because I think a Cade Klubnik, who showed a lot already, and if he plays well again next year, might be a better fit. Or a Lenore Sellers, who's just a freak athlete out of South Carolina. So I might seem like a little bit of a negative Nancy. I hope it works out. If like that is the scenario the Browns want to go, I hope Arch Manning is a 10 out of 10 guy.
If all goes well, though, and he plays how people think he will this year, and he lives up to the hype, do you think they should target him? No matter what. Because I will say with Arch, I think if you take any of our quarterbacks we just drafted, right, and you look at his upside, what people think he can become, could a lot of that be the last name? Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of it. But I think what he showed at times this year, and we know what he could do. We saw him in high school, saw him in college in flashes already. I think he's shown enough where his upside looks very high, and from what I've seen. And so if he does live up to the hype, should they still go target him, in your opinion? No matter what.
Oh, no matter what. So you're saying even if like one of our quarterbacks is a starting
because
caliber
it sounds
quarterback?
like when I hear that report that the thirst he has for him is unmatched, it sounds like to me that, and here, Jason Lloyd and some of these other reporters, Mike, who have since the draft said that the Browns are taking a quarterback next year in the first round, no matter what. Like, no matter how well these guys play this year, I've heard where some reporters like Jason Lloyd have said they're taking a first round guy next year, no matter what. So when I hear that, it adds up to this report that that's their guy, and that's the guy they have eyes on. Obviously, they have a lot of tabs on him, probably through back channeling stuff with the relationship with the Manning family, Tennessee, and all that stuff. It seems to me like that's their guy, no matter what. That's why I'm at. Do you think if he pans out, I think, Mike, that they're probably going to take this kid no matter what. I think they, like he said there, they will move whatever mountain. They got 2 first-round picks next year, and it makes sense now why they went out and got that another first-round pick for next year. Because I think now Haslam has that safety valve. I got 2 first-round picks. I can move up in the draft. I could put some players in there possibly. Maybe we move off of. We don't want to pay. And we can go up there and make it happen. But we've seen his aggression before. So we know Jimmy Haslam. When he wants something, he will make it happen.
Well, I certainly hope it's not the no matter what situation, because here, if Shador or even Dylan Gabriel works out, and it makes much more sense to build around a guy you're only paying a 3rd or a 5th round salary in Dylan Gabriel and Shador's case, respectively. Right. And at the end of the day, like, as a fan, as a guy who studies the game and who is a Browns fan, I'm not attached to Manning. I'm not, he's Eli and Peyton and Archie, even if you want to go back to Archie, are great players, NFL legends in their own respect, each of them. But I'm not attached to the name. I don't really care who ends up being our franchise quarterback. I just want to make sure we have one. And here, if you build something around a Shedeur Sanders or a Dylan Gabriel and they show flashes and they're going to be in their second year building off of what they already have done if they start at a point in the season, I think you're just starting at square one again. And
Well,
what if
let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I want to say there's a I'm not saying that group, but I'm saying there's a group of people out there that would say, well, did we just do the same thing with the name with Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah. I mean,
so why wouldn't he pull the trigger on Manning?
Well, it's a little bit more of a, especially if Shedeur is good, it's a little bit more of a risk, because you're spending a first round pick, you're burning a first round pick or two, plus a player, or maybe 2 first rounds and a second or something crazy to try and get an Arch Manning, which here, no player in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth round, you can do all the analytics, you can scout as well as you can, but the draft is never a for sure thing. It's all percentages and fit, right? So like, you could spend all of that, and maybe you have someone in waiting like just Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel who did show flashes this season, and then you burn all of that to get an Arch Manning. And me playing devil's advocate again, what if it doesn't work out? What if it's not a fit? Or what if he just doesn't translate to the NFL game well enough? And I'm not there with Arch Manning. I don't like one and done season starters. I really don't. It's my least favorite thing for college quarterbacks. I think, I mean, not to compare him too much with this player, but Anthony Richardson is a prime example of a guy who started very few games in college and then got drafted in the first round based off of I'm sorry, I'm losing the word.
Raw athletic ability.
Yeah, raw athletic ability, or what he could become, or what have you. And yeah, I'm not there with Arch Manning. I'm not loving the Haslam already being obsessed with this kid. Now, I'm hoping this is where my mind's at. This is where my optimistic mind's at. If one of these rookies shows enough, yeah, Jason Lloyd released that report, but a lot can happen in a year. We're very far away from the 2026 draft at this point. So I'm hoping that one of these rookies shows ample evidence that they are the guy that we don't need to spend a first round pick on a quarterback next year, and that we can build around one of our rookies and actually make a winner. And you'll have a better chance because you'll have far more playing money and picks to do with. Because, I mean, we still need to build that receiver room up. We need to find a succession plan for Miles. And I'm not keen on burning those picks and maybe more for a quarterback. That isn't a for sure thing yet. But what do you think?
If he comes out and has a Joe Burrow-esque season at LSU, which was kind of a one and done season in a way. I mean, he didn't play at Ohio State, transferred to LSU. First year was okay. Second year is when he balled out, and then obviously the rest is history. If he has a Joe Burrow-esque season and he leads Texas to a national championship, I'm not saying it's win a national championship, but if he has that type of season where it just pops, like he's the guy. Even Trevor Lawrence in college, who was the man coming out, you know what I mean? That type of caliber. I think if he's that kind of caliber, and Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel there's still a lot of, maybe they looked okay. They showed flashes to the season, but you had a 6-win season. You kind of rotated the quarterbacks. Not one of them didn't really take the lead in the whole season and really like became the guy, but they still showed flashes. You know what I mean? One looked good here, the other one looked good here, but it wasn't enough. I think you got to go for Arch Manning at that point. If he's that good, if he's that Joe Burrow type guy coming out, I would definitely go for it because at that point, I'm just betting on my coaching staff, and we're going to build around this kid. We think he's going to be the future. We think he's going to be, um, you know, the next dude. So that's what we've been looking for in Cleveland. And I think another part of all this, Mike, that I thought about when I saw this today, I went back to this report that came out all the way back in 2017. And let me find that real quick. Back in 2017, Mike, Jimmy Haslam, we know you heard there the relationship he has with the Manning family. And let me find it here, right here. From Bleacher Report, this was November 19th, 2017. It says Browns owner has strong and sincere interest in hiring Peyton Manning. And it went on in this report to say from Jason Locafora, longtime, I remember seeing him on Bull and Fox all the time, hearing him on Bull and Fox all the time. He's a longtime reporter. He said Jimmy has reported he wants Peyton Manning to join the Browns organization. To join the organization. His desire to appoint the former NFL quarterback to a quote, prominent team president / top executive role is very strong and sincere, according to Jason Locafora. And this almost happened in 2017, Mike. It was very close, actually, to happening. He tried going to get Jim Harbaugh at one point and almost traded for him, didn't get him. And he was really trying to get Peyton Manning. There was discussions about it at that time. Now, Peyton Manning at the time, I think, wasn't interested. I think he just retired, wanted to go a different direction. But Peyton Manning, to me, Mike, has always struck me as a guy who wants to get in that kind of role eventually. I don't think he wants to sit up there and, react to Monday Night Football games the rest of his life or until he's, done with the game of football, period. He's too big of a mind, too knowledgeable of a mind, and too passionate of a guy of football. I think his goal is to get in that type of role, a president, and he's too smart to not be in that role. He's too much cachet. Like it says there, a prominent team president / top executive role. And I think the time he spent with John Elway, Mike, was more than just trying to win a Super Bowl. I think he was actually in there. I think it's something he's always had interest in. And I think the time he spent with John Elway was actually kind of like a grooming process in a way, like learning those tricks, how to translate from a legendary quarterback to what John Elway is the president of the Broncos. So running the Broncos. So I think that a lot of that his time with the Broncos was because of that. He wanted to learn from John Elway how to do that job because one day I think he has eyes on doing that, and I think obviously ownership's a big part of that. I think who he partners with, and he has a very good relationship with Jimmy Haslam through Tennessee, and if his nephew's involved, I mean it seems like it's a win-win scenario for him. Where I think the Browns would like I've been saying, I don't think this regime's going to go anywhere, Mike, but after the season, no matter what. I don't think Kevin's going anywhere. I don't think AB's going anywhere. But I think what they've lacked is a real football president. I know I've discussed Paul DeBodesta and his involvement with the team, but they never had, they haven't had that president of football ops that I think they need. Somebody that can collaborate with an Andrew Berry and a Kevin Stefanski, who I know Peyton Manning has raved about. He loves Kevin Stefanski, and I'm sure he has respect for Andrew Berry. I think Peyton Manning can work with anybody. He's just such a likable guy, but he's also who wouldn't want to listen to Peyton Manning. I think Andrew Berry and Kevin would listen to him, obviously, especially if Haslam says, "Hey, this is the guy now." So I think it would all make sense. You run it full circle with the Manning family here in Cleveland, and will that be 2026 season? I think that's what the Browns are looking for, Mike. I think they've always needed that president. I think they need somebody in there that can really have a vision, and I think they need that other voice in there that can really collaborate with everybody, with the coaching staff, understand the coaching staff side of things, but also understand where the front office is coming from, and then kind of put it all together. I think Peyton can do that. Excuse me. I think, and like I said, I wouldn't doubt the reason why a lot of reasons why the time he spent in Denver with John Elway was probably just to kind of look and learn from John Elway from afar, because he made that same transition that Peyton would make if he did this. So I think that's a whole nother twist in all this as well, that I think Haslam, I think he's tried it back then. I'm sure he's going to try it. I'm sure it's always in the back of his mind, even 8 years later, to try it again one day, because I think that's what he really wants. Because I think he knows if he can get that kind of name in there, that kind of cachet, whatever, as a president, that would be that'd be huge for this organization. It's a splash, and also I think it would really take this organization to the next level. I think Peyton would be great at that role, and you're heading towards that new stadium and that dome being built. What not a better momentum starter towards that when that opens than that?
Yeah, I mean, those are all good points. I guess I'm approaching it cautiously. I just don't.
Oh yeah, and here the
I
kid could
don't.
come out this year and shit the bed or not be as he could be like Joe Burrow's first year at LSU. Maybe he may need to go back for one more year. That could happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? That could very well be the case. But I think a lot of people I agree with you because I think you should be cautionary with all this because a lot of people I think are assuming that kid's going to be good this year. And
Yeah.
I think he'll be good this year, but there's a chance he's just okay, that he may need to go back for one more year. And NIL nowadays is a thing. Teams can really keep guys stay for another. Guys can get paid so much money they could stay for another years. Some guys will get paid more in NIL than they would their rookie deal. So
Right.
I don't know what Texas's plans are after this year. I know what their quarterback looks like. Coming up the hatch from in recruiting and all that. That could be part of it as well if they want to move on. Because they kind of moved Quinn Ewers off the side a little bit to slowly integrate Arch Manning already. No, and Ewers still finished the season, but Arch played a lot last year. And remember, there was that time where they were splitting series basically. So I don't know, but I agree with you. But go ahead on your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like already, kind of adding a little bit to what I said. I'm being cautious about it. I'm not there with Arch Manning. I certainly don't think Jimmy should be either. And I don't want to move off of something that we would have a full year of data, like a Shador Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. It's like, oh, they were really good, but these things we have to improve on and like start from square one on a rookie, burn a bunch of picks to move up to get this rookie. Where I think even if he does have a great season, I could see Cade Klubnik having just as good of a season, or a Drew Aller, or a Lenora Sellers, who gives you a totally different kind of bag of tricks. There's this if I let me put it this way. If none of our rookies this year show anything and we know that they're the guy, we should not be as a team or organization to the point where it's like Arch Manning or bust. They really should, even if he plays good and comes out into the next year's draft, there's going to be so many good quarterbacks in next year's draft. They have to be sure and like vet everybody. Because if it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we can burn all these picks, move up in Arch Manning, but Drew Aller or Cade Klubnik might be just as good, if not better, and we can get one of them where we're at, do it that way. You know what I mean?
Well, I think at that point, that's where you got to lean on your front office and your coaching staff. You got to trust them to make the right decision. But
Right.
I think Arch probably has just as good, if not more, upside than most of these guys in this class coming out next year. If he does declare, the upside's there with the size, the arm strength, and the talent, arm talent, and everything. We've seen flashes of it. There's some other great quarterbacks as well. I like Cade Klubnik a lot. I think if there's another guy, I think that could really challenge him to be the first quarterback off that board next year. If Arch pans out, it'd be him. I think Cade Klubnik could be that guy. But other guys, I'm not really sold on yet. I think there's some of the other guys you mentioned, I'm not there yet with them. But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, how well do you think the rookies have to play for them to even consider taking a quarterback again next year? Or do you think, like what Jason Lloyd's saying, they're taking a quarterback next year no matter what?
I'm really not here. I like Jason Lloyd. I think I have a ton of respect for him and what he does and how he does it. But maybe that's true. That was true as far as what he was hearing at that point. But again, a lot can change in a year. A lot. And especially in the NFL. We both know that. So,
well, because a lot of people are saying they really went out and got that first. They traded off of Travis Hunter. Still got a blue chip prospect in Mason Graham, but traded off of Travis Hunter to go get that first round pick because they valued that pick more than anything in that trade for next season, for that draft next year, because they're targeting somebody. Which makes sense in some ways.
Yeah, that does make sense. But again, they also decided to take two quarterbacks too. So in my mind, it's like, if one of these guys works out, they are going to give one of them the opportunity, or maybe both at certain points in the season, to prove that they are the guy or that can win that job permanently. So they can go a different direction with that pick. Yeah. I'm not just the optics of everything. Again, maybe that was true when Jason Lloyd was writing it. I think a lot can change in a year, and the Browns will change their mind if they have the data to back it up. If Shador Sanders throws for, if he starts, I don't know, 10 games, throws to close to 3,000 yards or a little over 3,000 yards and has like over 15 touchdowns, I think at that point you got to look at it like, okay, well, that would have been a hell of a season had he would have started the whole year. So we're going to keep going with this. And we're going to see about what we could do with these other first round picks. But I don't know if I buy into they're definitely taking a quarterback next year. I think the whole situation is very, very fluid. I think the Browns are keeping all options open, as they should. Maybe Jimmy Haslam is thirsty for Arch Manning, and the reports seem to state that. But I think that at least from Kevin and Andrew's point of view, I don't know what Mr. San Diego thinks or is doing, but as far as Kevin and AB, I think they are keeping every single option open, being fluid about it, as they should. One of these rookies works out, great. If not, huge class next year. Let's keep our options open. Let's check out every quarterback. So as far as that goes, if that's the case, which I think it is, I think the Browns are in a good spot because either one of these guys works out, or if they don't, you have the pick of the litter next year.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope one of these guys works out, then I can go target maybe Caleb Downs or something next year and go fill out the roster other ways, because you could really you could turn around a team really fast in that with that type of draft arsenal at your disposal. So it's gonna be fascinating. We'll see it. This is a story that we'll be keeping an eye on, and we'll see how it unfolds. But real quick, something else he mentioned today, Mike, was on the quarterback battle, and I thought this was interesting as well. And here's what he had to say about the quarterback room right now, Mike, especially going into camp.
There was a report on NFL Network a couple days ago that said, quote, the Browns put a lot more on Dillon Gabriel's plate than they anticipated in the OTAs in the offseason stuff. The number one question is, what's the order? We all were off for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They had their meetings. Give me quarterback 1, 2, 3, and 4 right now when training camp starts on Wednesday. And believe me, folks, Andrew Berry's calling the shots here for that. He is. Now, what happens on the field might be different than what he wants, and I trust the coaches that they would do what's best for the team. Correct. But I'm telling you that I believe that Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel are the two guys that I'd be looking at right now to start this season. Yeah.
So Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel to start the season, Mike. I've said all along, I think it's going to be Flacco or Pickett to start the season if I had to bet my money. I think Flacco will start. Personally, I think that's why they brought Flacco back, because I think they're trying to rewrite some of that, or trying to, kind of rewrite some of that magic they had in 2023 with him, Mike. I think they're going to go back to some of that similar scheme. I think there'll be some differences in the scheme. I don't think it'll be all the way the same. They did bring in a new O-line coach. It's not Bill Callahan. So I think, I like the new O-line coach brought in Mike Bloomgren, but I think he may do things a little differently than even Bill Callahan. I mean, each coach has their own philosophy. Tommy Reese is different than Alex Van Pelt in some ways. So Deuce Staley's a little different than Stump in some ways. So I think it'll be the same philosophy that they're going back to, like 2023. I think just maybe some new flavors in it. But assuming that, though, I think you start Flacco week 1 because I think he still fits what they're going to do better than anybody else in that roster right now. I think I think the biggest question mark people got to remember too is that, or the biggest thing people got to remember is that offensive line is still kind of a question mark going into the season, Mike, because last year they were really injured going into the season. There was some inconsistency in the play. They didn't the guys are bitching about the scheme after the season, which rightfully so. But that O-line was not really I don't think that line was going to be good no matter what last year, because they let Bill Callahan out the door and didn't try to stop him from going to Tennessee. And number 2, that O-line was pretty banged up last year. They were injured going into the season. And it didn't sound like guys were practicing a lot leading up to the season as well, as they were trying to implement a new scheme because they were so hurt, which didn't help at all. We saw the result of that last season. So I think that O-line's got to be healthy enough first, Mike. We got to see that O-line get back to being a good O-line again.
Yeah.
But I like Joe Flacco back there because of that, because I think Joe Flacco, he can handle that. He can handle being under pressure because he's physical enough. He's a physical player. He's 6'6", big dude, big arm. He can evade tackles and extend plays with his arm in the pocket. We've seen him do it throughout his career, and I think he just, like I said, he can, his size and physicality, I think he can handle that. Where, yeah, I don't want to put two rookies out there. Dylan Gabriel has the
Yeah.
ability to scramble, but he's not a big guy. He has the
No.
ability. He can extend plays with his legs, but he doesn't have the size to, in my opinion, take that abuse if the O line's not, if you're not sure about that O line yet, and really just in general. But I think Shador, he likes to stand in the pocket, but I think at times he can stand in the pocket a little too much, and I don't know if he's as physical. He's not, doesn't appear as physical to me as a Joe Flacco with size, and I mean he's 6'1", 6'2", and he's a tough kid, tough as nails. But that's still got to be seen, and he's still a rookie. Kenny Pickett, we saw him in Pittsburgh. He's about 6'3", I think he is 6'4".
Yeah, something like that.
But Kenny Pickett, he is who he is. He's not going to turn the ball over a lot, but I mean, I could see Stefanski maybe liking him because he doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and he'll just run the offense. I think ultimately, though, I think Flacco checks all the boxes, because I think ultimately what Kevin's going to be looking for is this: who can I call? Who can I just sit out there, just call the plays like I want to, and they'll just run
Right.
the plays? And I think that's Joe Flacco. I think
Absolutely.
Kenny Pickett can run the plays the way maybe he wants, because he's just a veteran. He knows who he is. I think Dylan Gabriel right now, Mike, can actually run that offense a little better than Shador, because I think Dylan's experience in college with the three different systems. I think that's why he had a little more reps in the early in the spring, or during OTAs
Right.
and minicamp, because I think his experience, he was the most experienced quarterback coming out of college, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that helped him a lot, because he has a little more familiarity with more systems and schemes and terminology, where Shador was coached by the same person his whole life and was in the same scheme for a couple of years. I think a lot of Shador's, what people would say, lack of reps and with the first team, whatever, and during the spring, was more of just him getting acclimated with the system and start off with the baby steps first. You know what I mean? So, which is fine. So, but now at training camp, I still think Joe Flacco, like I said, because I think he checks all the boxes. I think he fits with where this team's at. The biggest thing, my biggest question mark with this team from week one, Mike, until I see it proven, is going to be that offensive line, like I keep saying, and the running backs as well. Obviously, we need a good running game again. I want to see. I'm really. There's gonna be a lot of weight on Jerome Ford's shoulders to start the season. Obviously, Dylan Sampson's gonna be nice as well, but Jerome Ford to me has got to be that kind of more physical back, and the guy that can break tackles and get back to that ground and pound running game that we had with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, especially when our offensive line was really good. Last year I think we kind of got away from that because the O line was just, that O line was not good last year. The scheme wasn't good,
Right.
and there was just a lot of obviously shit that went on. So that we already went over and everybody knows about. But we were trying to cater around one person. So, but that's my biggest thing, Mike, is that offensive line. But I think right now, to me, it's still Joe Flacco. I think it's going to be Flacco,
Yeah,
Pickett,
I'm right there
battle
with
out.
you.
But I think Flacco wins it out. And I think those rookies are going to have their own little side competition, off to the side, and kind of, in case
See who gets first dibs.
Right, who gets first dibs in this middle of the season, because if, Flacco or whatever, the Browns start losing games, don't play well, they have to play those rookies, I would assume, at some point, to try to see what they got, or try to get a little, new energy out there. But that's my ramble, Mike. What's your take on all this?
Oh no, I mean, here you took the words right out of my mouth. I think it's Flacco still. I think Kenny Pickett gets cut or traded, and that whoever shows up in training camp more is going to be the heir apparent for when they sit Flacco for the season, or something happens. So, yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's going to be Flacco. I think still Shador is going to win out through training camp. I mean, Gabriel, I'm not taking anything away from Gabriel. Who knows? Maybe in training camp and we start to see more, he looks great. I don't know. But I'm still at the Flacco Shador rotation at the moment.
Well, we'll end on this, Mike, with the whole Shador. Let's go to the Shador Gabriel side of things, right? And we had a comment left from last night's show, and I'll put it on the screen here, from a gentleman who gave some good insight from his take and observation. We appreciate the feedback as always. This is from Big Red Racing Dog 466. You can see right here, Mike, this comment. And he reacted to something we said on the show last night. We were talking about Shador versus Gabriel. He said Shador played in a weak conference with garbage defenses. No wonder he threw for 4,000 yards. This was his schedule. He lists all the teams: North Dakota State, Baylor, UCF, Kansas State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State, BYU. He said the represent a team's national rank in pass defense. For reference, there are 134 teams in FBS. BYU held Shador to 208 yards, a touchdown, and interception. By contrast, Gabriel played in the Big Ten, featuring gains versus pass defense like number 2 Washington, Ohio State twice, number 19 Michigan, and number 31 Penn State. Gabriel averaged 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions versus Ohio State. If Gabriel's stats were padded by layups, which is not what we were saying last night, Mike,
Nope.
why were his average yards per attempt and average per catch almost identical to Shador's? And he listed the Gabriel's yard per catch was 8, or yard per attempt was 8, and yard per catch was 11, and Shador's was 8 and 11 as well. As for accuracy, Shador's complete percentage was 74, Dillon's is 72.9. I've also Gabriel played better opposition. He also threw several passes away rather than take sacks, unlike Shador, who had a tendency to hold the ball on too long. So I'll let you react to this first, Mike. What's your reaction to this gentleman's comment here? And kind of goes along with this whole Shador and Gabriel battle.
I mean, Shador, yeah, played in a weaker conference, but he also had a far weaker team, which needs to be said. I mean, outside of Travis Hunter, he had no run game. His offensive line was not good. Their defense went, didn't help out a lot. So, I mean, he didn't play in a good conference, but he also didn't play for a great team overall. So that's for one that it needs to be taken into account. And still, like what Shador did numbers wise is impressive. Because of that, because of the team around him, other than Travis Hunter. And on top of that, I mean, we're not. I certainly wasn't and I know you weren't either, Joseph. We're not Gabriel haters. We just think Shador is better. Like Dylan Gabriel is in a very friendly system for how he plays the game of football. He had far more talent around him. Oregon is always a great recruiting college team. I mean, Jordan James in the backfield, Evan Stewart. I mean, the list goes on and on of players that he had at his disposal to make his life easier. I just don't, I'm not saying, and we weren't saying that his throws were layups, but like Oregon does run a lot of tight end screens. They run a lot of running back screens. They run a lot of wide receiver screens. Like that's a lot of what they run, which is just getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick into their playmaker's hands and get that yards after the catch. And that kind of wasn't the MO when it came to Shador and Dion's offense. So it's not that he was throwing layups. It's just that's what he was asked to do. And he did it well, but at the end of the day, you have more.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say you have more talent at Oregon, and he can only do what he's told to do, and that's just the kind of offense that they ran in Oregon. Nothing against that, and yeah, Dylan was a very talented quarterback in college, and I'm saying like if it ends up being Dylan Gabriel who wins the job and he ends up being great. I'm not going to complain. They're both on the team. Like.
Said he went 13 to Valley Forge High School talent. Look, man. Here, I think when we said layups last night, number one, hitting your layups consistently, I don't think people understand what that means. Clearly, because layups doesn't mean it's a bad, like it's a negative. Like all he does is short, throw short 5-yard passes. So, no. Layups means that the offense is schemed up very well, which Dan Lanning's a hell of an offensive mind, and they had a really good offensive line there. Had Josh Connolly, a bunch of guys that got drafted, Mike. They had really good wide receivers. A lot of them got drafted. And it was a Tez Johnson. Who was the other guy they had as well? They had another one that got drafted. Had a good tight end and Ferguson. They had a really good team. He had a lot of talent around him. Had the running back as well. That was solid. The scheme was very good. He was constantly in the gun. Everything was kept in front of him. He never had to really turn his back and play. He never played under center and had to drop back, turn his head, low kick coverage. He played under center UCF a little more, so he has experience there. But in terms of his time at Oregon, what we see from lately at Oklahoma and Oregon, that a lot of those, you know, a lot of that offense was hitting layups because it was schemed up properly. All he had to do was make the right reads and throw the ball on time and on target and get it out to the playmaker's hands, which he did a great job of. He was a true point guard of an offense. And I thought Shador at Colorado, Mike, he did a good job of hitting some layups at times, but I thought at times Shador had to constantly go for the big play or try to force things downfield and he had the playmakers to do it with, Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter and Will Shepherd. He had a pretty good receiving core, but they had no running game as well. And he was constantly dropping back and passing because they couldn't run the ball and they had no offensive line. Now, did he hold the ball too long at times? Absolutely. And I think it was a tendency that he developed because of his, I think, lack of trust with his offensive line, to be honest with you, and trying to always look for the home run ball at times. I think that's one of his things he'll have to coach out of him. But I also think, too, that he got sacked for 40-something times this year. That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. And I think in terms of the BYU game, that was a bad outing. From what I heard, what happened leading up to that week to that game, I don't think their preparation was good from what I heard behind the scenes. And some people on the internet reported that. So you can go find that, what happened that week leading up to that game. Wasn't a surprise to me after what I heard what happened that week that they lost the way they did. But I'll just leave it at that. But in terms of Dylan Gabriel, listen, he played a really good game against Ohio State the first time at home. They won by 1. I thought Ohio State, though, if, that play at the end with Jeremiah Smith and stuff, that they actually still should have won that game. With just better time management as well. But when it mattered most in the Rose Bowl, Dylan Gabriel has a great skill set. Has a really good arm, does a really tight spiral, has a big arm. He can launch it down the field. He's very accurate. I like the way he scans the field in the pocket. He can flip his hips really well and go from first read to second read. He showed that at times. But he has a great skill set. But I think what you saw in that Ohio State game was just the height and when you pressure him a lot, those smaller quarterbacks and guys who, like I said earlier, don't have that physical attribute who aren't the biggest guys, he can move his leg, but he's just not a big guy that could shed tackle. He got sacked 8 times in that Ohio State game, Mike. And some of that was that, the DNs were really working those their tackles, but a lot of it was him he wasn't seeing it well, and there was that pressure really got to him, and he didn't really do anything until the game was already over. That first half against Oregon was the best half of football I've ever seen Ohio State play. Complete domination, all 3 facets: special teams, offense, and defense. That game was over before the half. That little touchdown they scored at the end of the game there, or at the end of the half, and then they scored the other one in the third. The game was already over. As soon as Jeremiah Smith caught that second touchdown on that one play, that game was over. And then Travion House that ran all the way to the house. I mean, that game was over, Mike. So a lot of what he did in that game, I don't take really. When it mattered most, he didn't play well. He was pressured a lot, and he didn't handle it well against an NFL caliber defense. So, I don't think. Again, there's things I think Shador needs to get better at, and there's things I think Dylan Gabriel needs to get better at. At the end of the day, it's just going to come down to fit. Who fits what Kevin Stefanski wants to do the most? I think right now where Gabriel has an advantage is the experience he had in college, playing in 3 different systems.
Right.
Now, again, Shador actually played in multiple systems as well in college. Played for Pat Shurmur, played in Sean Lewis' system for a little bit, played at Jackson State with a different coordinator. So, but I think Gabriel's played more games, and I think he just knows a little bit more of the playbook a little more. I think that's why he got more reps in the spring. But that's okay. I think Shador is he's learning the playbook still. That's all the spring was, getting that. It's like dress rehearsal. You know what I mean? You're doing your installs and all that stuff. Everybody knows how football works. They know how that works. So with all that stuff in the spring. And so again, that's all we were saying last night. And again, me saying that he had we weren't saying he was padding his stats by layups. We were just saying that a lot of what he did in college, he had a great talent around him and all on the line, running, and receivers, and he did his job. Good for him. That's actually a good thing that you hit layups. It's not a bad thing. All we're saying with Shador was he had no running game, and he had a pretty weak offensive line, one of the worst offensive lines in the whole sport for 2 years. There's only one guy in that O-line that's even draftable, and that was a true freshman, Jordan Seaton. Outside of that, and that was only the last year. Outside of that, Mike, who else in that O-line in Colorado even got drafted?
None of them.
None of them. So that's all we're saying. Uh, but I appreciate the response. And now the competition side of things, I could see that. But here, man, was it Josh Allen played at Wyoming?
Yeah.
Now, do I think is he the talent of Josh Allen coming out? Hell no. But at the end of the day, it's coming down to fit. Are you coachable? I want to see what Shador can do with a new coach, a head coach. Honestly, like I just want to see what he can do away from his dad and with a new mind, different. You know what I mean? I think just having that new information for somebody else, I want to see how he does.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Dylan Gabriel, like I said, Dylan Gabriel has all the skill set to go out there and the experience to go out there and play well. I think there's a lot of things you can like about Dylan Gabriel. We're not hating on Dylan Gabriel, and we're not up here root for Shador either. We're just, this is how we see it. Again, I think Dylan Gabriel could do really well. I think his size is going to be what hinders him from having a long career as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Could he come in here for his first season and maybe have a little Bo Nix season? Possibly. I think it's possible. He has the same experience like Bo Nix had. I think Bo Nix had the same amount of experience, or who was the most experienced quarterback coming out of that draft. So, but I just don't think he has the physical attributes that Bo Nix had that I think is going to help Bo Nix in the long term. I don't think he doesn't have that. So he is who he is. He's what, 5'9"? Look, I know some people have said, I think he's listed at 5'10", but some people in person, he looks like he's 5'9".
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So I don't know. I mean, Shador's what, about 6'1", 6'2". I know people that have been with him in person, or hear people that have been in the room with him in person. They said he looks like a solid 6'2".
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got any more you want to add to this, Mike?
No. I mean, you said it perfectly.
Yeah, but again, my last thing with this, Mike, I think Gabriel probably fits better with what Kevin wants to do right now because he can call more plays with him, like I said, because of the experience. But I think Shador's skill set and his size, he's not the most physical guy, but I think he has the height and the accuracy. Well, they're both accurate, but I think he has just his style of play. He's like a natural pocket quarterback when I watch him. The way especially when he rolls out too in the pocket. Like he had that play this year where he rolled out left and he set his feet and launched it downfield. Yeah, he does things like that where I'm like, man, that's pretty impressive to see a guy doing that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks nowadays, their fundamentals are horrible. So
Right.
the quarterback plays an all-time low in the whole sport, and it's not their fault. It's a lot of it's bad coaching. But but that's another thing too. And I don't think Colorado didn't run the cadence clap either, did they? The clap cadence.
No, they had a real cadence.
Yeah, Oregon ran the clap cadence. That may not matter, but I think his experience at UCF, I don't know if he ran the clap cadence his whole career, but I do think that's something in terms of when you have to spit out a bunch of plays to your team and and then have to identify the fronts and identify what's going on out there and be able to make audibles and adjustments. So it's going to be a learning curve for both of these guys, which is why, going back to what Grossi said, though, Mike, about Dylan Gabriel being in play for week 1, I don't see that. I think it's going to be Flacco or Pickett by far.
Yeah.
I think we'd be foolish to put one of these guys out there in week 1 when that offensive line coming off the year they had. It's a question mark in the running game. I think it'd be a bad idea.
I agree.
Sorry for the rant, but
no,
we appreciate the feedback though. Shout out to you, Big Red. We appreciate you guys as always. We actually like that, so thank you. And also we'd love to have you back and keep tuning in. Salute to you. Tune In Sports, welcome on in. He said salute to Tune In Sports. Go subscribe to Tune In Sports, all things Cavs, NBA content. He's got you covered, so go subscribe to him. I pop in over there. Mike's in the comments, so go subscribe to him. Wiley be over there as well. Shout out to Hoop Life Mixtape. We see you, brother. He came on the show, remember, Mike, a couple weeks ago. He wants to collab with us so we'll hit you up. If not, just hit me up too and remind me and I'll get back to you. We'll figure it out. But anything else, Mike, for guy? You want to tell you like, subscribe, and share?
Absolutely. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on this edition. Please like, subscribe, and share this content because we are doing our utmost to get to where we want to go. And we love that everybody that has joined and wants to be a part of that. If you like this content and sharing it helps a lot. It's free and it helps get the word out. And thank you all so much. We love you very, very much. But yeah, like, subscribe, and share.
All right, Mike's doing jumping jacks again and saluting. We'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Are you doing that, Mike?
Now I'm doing yoga. I'm doing yoga, and I'm saluting. I'm saluting with my foot right now. You can't see it.
We're out of here.
Later.